So welcome everyone. I think it's 2:05 or European time. Let's officially start the webinar. So welcome to our unique webinar series and global forum accessible to all of us and all of you, focusing on the voice of our members. It will be a very promising series, and I'm not going to do the official introduction as I will leave that up to Amy, but I wanted to just give a little bit of a note in the beginning. But today we are dedicated to our first theme, which is youth engagement, a topic which is very essential to integrate in our programs. And as I'm currently attending actually the youth forum here in India, I have heard this phrase many times before, and I also hear it here as well, is that youth are the future of tomorrow. But without including them, there's no chance that they even can start contributing to the future. So we kind of, here we have 150 youth attending from 13 countries and various Indian states. It's an amazing group. Usually the youth forums are done with 50 only. So here it's a really big group together, and all of them are very motivated, and they're currently learning about prevention science and how to become prevention influencers. And they also develop some programs and declarations to share afterwards. And it's very interesting to, learn about their insights, of their challenges and solutions. So there's a lot to learn during this week, but also it's not the only youth that are actually working with prevention and that are working in the world. And many of our members are actually working in the field of youth engagement. And for that, today we are joined by various great speakers. But before I'm going to introduce them, I would like to give the word to Amy. And I don't think she needs any introduction. You've seen her many times, but my honor is to introduce you, Amy, as our international president and also the executive director of Drug Free America.
Hello, thank you everybody for joining us. As Cressida said, I'm Amy Ronshausen. I'm the international president of the World Federation Against Drugs. For any of you who are joining us today who are unfamiliar with WFAD, just in case, we are a multilateral community of non-government organizations and individuals who share a common concern that illicit drug use is threatening the existence of stable families, communities, and government institutions around the world. We were founded in 2009, and the aim of WFAD is to strengthen prevention, increase access to treatment, and promote recovery. It is my great pleasure to welcome you all to the first session of our World Forum webinar series, Global Challenges, Local Solutions. Over the upcoming months, we will explore a range of pressing global issues and examine and showcase how local communities and organizations can play a pivotal role in addressing them. Today's webinar is dedicated to a topic that could not be more timely or relevant: youth engagement and prevention in a digitalizing world. As our world becomes more increasingly digital, we find ourselves at a crossroads where the challenges are as significant as the opportunities. Digital platforms are reshaping the way we communicate, learn, and connect. For young people, these spaces are central to their lives, influencing everything from their social interactions to their worldviews. However, the digital world is not without its risks. Youth are exposed to online content that may promote harmful behaviors, including substance use, and are vulnerable to misinformation. At the same time, social media and online communities can amplify peer pressure and normalize drug use, making it easier for harmful trends to spread. That is why it's so critical that we leverage the power of the digital world to promote positive and healthy behaviors. In the context of drug demand reduction, digital tools offer an unparalleled opportunity. We can reach young people where they are, on their phones, on social media, and in digital spaces. By designing innovative, evidence-based campaigns and peer-driven content, we can counter misinformation, provide credible information, and foster environments where youth feel supported and empowered to make healthy choices. In addition, digital platforms can serve as a powerful tool for early intervention, allowing us to detect risks and engage youth before they turn to harmful substances. Today's speakers, representing our youth network and member organizations, have been selected through an open call for their expertise and hands-on experience in working with youth. They will share the challenges they face, the opportunities they've seized, and the best practices that are emerging in this digital landscape. These insights will help us better understand how we can harness technology to build stronger prevention strategies. We hope that this session not only highlights the importance of youth engagement and prevention, but also serves as a platform to inspire new ideas and collaborations. As Cressida mentioned, the future belongs to youth, and by working together, we can ensure that they are not only just beneficiaries of prevention efforts, but also active contributors and leaders shaping them. Thank you all for joining us today. I look forward to the valuable discussion ahead. I will, I think, talk about a few housekeeping rules. To respect our speakers and others listening, please make sure that you keep yourself muted. Use the Q&A option for any kind of questions that you have, and we will attempt to answer them in real time or after the presentations. And use the chat for communication outside of questions. In fact, let's go ahead and get started with the chat and hear who you are and where you're logging in from today. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Cressida so we can start this wonderful event. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Amy, and thank you for the wonderful introductory notes. It's really shows the gist of today's webinar. I think it's very important to keep all of it in mind, and also, like, immediately before I even continue talking, give the word to the youth. So I don't want to continue much on it, but I want to continue with introducing our wonderful colleagues here today with us. We will start with our first speaker, Mr. Hari Ram, also Hari. With 3 years of experience working with youths, Hari has dedicated himself to creating impactful programs centered on drug awareness and personal development. His approach is grounded in the belief that addressing the underlying issue that lead to drug use is essential for effective prevention. In his talks to youth at schools, he focuses not only on the dangers of drugs, but also on the importance of understanding the factors that contribute to substance abuse. Please, Hari, the floor is yours.
Hello, thank you so much, Cressida, for a wonderful introduction. I'd like to share my slide for Karen. Just give me a moment. Yes, can everyone see my slide? Chris, is it possible? Okay,
Yes,
great.
perfect.
Okay, so yeah, so hi everyone. Hope everyone's having a good day. So my name is Hari. So I'm from the Preventive Drug Education Department in Singapore Anti-Narcotics Association. So as the name suggests, we are from Singapore. So for today, I'll be focusing more on the role of SANA in addressing youth addiction in general. Okay, so today I'll be focusing mainly on 3 scope focus. So one, I'll be doing an overview of SANA, our focus areas, talking more about our youth prevention programs, known as the Youth Empowerment Program as well, go through the framework, and we also go through some preventive drug education initiatives for you all to understand of how we do here in SANA. So just giving a brief introduction of SANA. We were formed in August 1972. So it's over 50 years since we've established ourselves. So we're approved charity and institute of a public character, and we're also a full member of the National Council of Social Services as well. As you can see on the left-hand side, that's our building currently. Yeah. So in SANA, our vision is to be a leader in drug addiction prevention and recovery, and we also aspire towards a drug-free society in Singapore to mobilize such a community where we can ensure that everybody in Singapore lives a drug-free lifestyle. And our mission is that we want to educate the community on the harms of drug abuse, to also provide support for persons in recovery towards assistance. So persons in recovery are individuals who have been incarcerated for a period of time and they're out in society. So we call them labeling persons recovery. So we help to offer them support and help them to reintegrate back to society successfully and to ensure that they entirely stay away from drugs. And lastly is to advocate a drug-free society in Singapore. So as you can see, our focal areas here, our spans range from a rehabilitative approach up to a preventive approach. So as you can see, under a rehabilitative approach, we do a true care approach in our step-up centers. So in Singapore, we have a few step-up centers as well. So what we do is in this true care approach is that we address the needs of our clients or while they're incarcerated. So work with them while they're incarcerated, pre-release, before they are about to be released, aftercare when they're out into society, where we do support group sessions with them. And then lastly, we help them successfully reintegrate back to society by linking them up with community resources. Follow up, we do outreach and volunteer management, where we help to outreach to individuals in general based on our programs, our events, and we also have volunteer management, where these volunteers help to befriend our clients during this journey and help them to reintegrate back into society successfully, also helping them to link them to community resources along the way. And next, we have the Preventive Drug Education Department, which is where I'm from. So we focus more on educating and empowering the youth and public in general. So as I go on later on, we'll discuss here on the three main focal areas that we focus on and to help to ensure that youth stay away from drugs. And lastly, we have the advocacy part where we advocate on the harm prevention and resistance locally and globally as well. And we ensure that all our approaches are as most evidence informed as possible. So moving on, I would like to give a brief introduction of the drug statistic report in Singapore. So you can see on the right-hand side, as comparison, in 2030, we can see that 20% of all drug abusers arrested were below 30 years old. So if you were to further dissect the data, you can see that individuals below 20, compared from 2022 to 2023, there was a great 8% increase, while from 20 to 29 years old, there's a significant increase of 721 from 609 in 2022. So you can see on the left, stats show that in 2023 last year, about 51% of the new drug abusers arrested were below the age of 30. And new drug abusers below the age of 20 were arrested, increased by 13% from 2022. So this shows that the drug situation in Singapore among youth is becoming a serious issue. And that's why we are taking a very strong approach into ensuring that, hey, like youth are more aware of the negative effects of drugs and to ensure that you entirely prevent from taking them. So in terms of the drugs that are commonly abused in Singapore, so as you can see in the pie chart here, 62% are more towards methamphetamine users, followed by 19% of cannabis users, followed by third, which is ecstasy, and then followed by other drugs as well. So in Singapore, potentially the most consumed drug is meth in general, and youth are heavily consuming them, and cannabis as well. So these are the two main consumers of drugs among youth. So under our youth prevention and empowerment framework, which we follow, so you can see that under our desired outcome, our goal is to ensure that we protect our youth from drug abuse. So we work towards prevention. And the strategic thrust that we use is to empower youth for proactive drug prevention. And our focal area is to enhance our preventive drug education for greater youth outreach and engagement. And then that's when we fall under the three key initiatives below, which is through drug awareness campaigns where we conduct in schools, secondary and tertiary. And then we do the SANA badge scheme and youth empowerment program, which I will then explain shortly. And our enabler for all this is then again our digitalization and social media. So under our school drug awareness talk, we focus more on secondary and tertiary institutions. So as you can see from the images on the left, that's me actually on the top left, doing a talk in one of the schools. So what we do is we try to co-organize with this drug abuse campaign with schools, where we liaise with schools and then we help them give this drug talk in which we psycho-educate students on drug addiction. So first we give them a general understanding of what addiction is, what it entails, and then we go into how drug addiction is the worst form of addiction and how it can affect you mentally, physically, and also socially. And we help to co-facilitate the session with student leaders as well. So student leaders from the school, they help to facilitate us, where they help to engage with the questioning, engage with giving gifts in terms of question. So we have to work with hand in hand to help students be potential advocates in the area as well. So we also share with students how to seek help. And there's a last but not least, is sharing by personal recovery. So in SANA, we have individuals known as peer leaders. So they have been out of the system of release from prison for more than 2 years, and they work with us as volunteers. So what they do is they help to share during a school talk, share their stories, share their testimonies. So where students can relate and they know, okay, there's somebody out there that has been through it, and they can understand the grasp of it and to also know how potentious drugs are. So you can see at the bottom, and based on the stats we had in one of the secondary schools, Amoga Secondary School, you can see that 99% of the students have a better understanding of what drug addiction can do to their lives, and 28% strongly agree, and they are able to be aware of how drug addiction can be very potentious to their nature. So that's very good results we received. So then again, zooming into our school talk, we also need to understand how can this then help the students. So first is we like to focus and to help the students understand that they need to internalize the false concepts on media, because media portray, especially by celebrities or individuals out there, fashion or whatnot. So we know that now, because technology is something, is ease of access, is it's something that use are very easy to be accessible to TikTok, whether it's Instagram. So they tend to see a lot of false concepts on media, but then in that stage of growing, they cannot rationalize or understand what such concepts are. So we have to understand that such concepts of media are false, and what can these effects cause? What are the true negative effects of drugs that is not shown by media? And also to help them understand the implication of drug abuse, how it can endanger their life short-term, long-term, how can it affect them in different areas and factors of their lives, such as their family, such as their loved ones, their society, and also entirely themselves. And then again, we also help them understand the deep-rooted issues that lead to drug abuse. Because then again, students or individuals do not understand, hey, why do I then lead to drug abuse? Is it because I'm stressed? Is it because etc., etc.? So you have to understand how environmental factors play a part, or societal factors play a part, and how entirely is their self and is their choice or their current situation that enables them to take such drugs. So it helps to understand the psychodynamics as well. So they then are more aware of, okay, why would I want to? And maybe I should address this issue. So we discuss that as well in our school talks. So then we have our Sana Batch scheme. So Sana Batch scheme is then we did a small program where we work with uniform group students such as St. John's, Girls Brigade, Boys Brigade, etc. So we started this in 1977. So what we do is we help empower secondary school students from uniform groups by become Sana anti-drug advocates. So we have three different batch scheme. So we have the bronze batch, we have the silver batch, and we have the gold batch. So in a bronze batch, we focus more on the knowledge of helping the students and uniform group students to help understand what is drug addiction in general, give them a base understanding of drug awareness. Also, we have a bit of inputs into mental health and how their personal development can then, the deep-rooted issues be solved, how can then prevent them from falling to drugs as well. And then once they pass, we do like a test, and if they were to pass the test, to get a bronze badge. And to move on to the silver badge, we ask them to come up with posters to help promote the content, what are their understanding of drugs, how does it affect them, and those individuals who take part, they get a silver badge. And moving on to the gold badge, we do competitions. This year we did a stop motion competition where we help to encourage students to create videos of how drug abuse can be potential for your health. So we do that video competition as well to award them the gold badge. So this is how we do it, and we reach out to 4,000 students annually. Yeah, I try to stick to that range. And also the Sana batch students, they usually work during our school talks as well. So sometimes we conduct school talks, we ask the school if they want to set a booth so they can help us to then support and promote them to their own classmates as well, to show them, hey, how drug abuse is very bad for your health. And last but not least, moving to our last program, we have the Youth Empowerment Program. So our Youth Empowerment Programs focuses more on the youth at risk. So youth at risk are mostly those individuals that are homes. So in Singapore, the Singapore Girls Home, Boys Home. So those have been under the age of, they ranges from age of 14 all the way to 21. So these individuals, we come up with programs that focus on substance abuse, also focusing more on their personal development, essential skills for youths to help manage, example, their boundary settings, how to have healthy boundary settings, how to regulate their emotions, how to understand their triggers, how to then see that how can a trigger then lead me to negative action, etc., etc. So we have them understand how are they currently feeling, how are their thoughts and emotions linking, and how did that lead them to commit acts that they don't want to commit. Yeah, and also to then focus on entirely on how substance abuse is the result. Yeah, so these are things we focus on as well to have them understand. So we do interactive workshop, we do team activities, and then again we have a peer leader sharing. So similar to the school talk, if a peer leader will come down during our programs and you share their own motivation, talk to them. They'll share with them how they have been through this situation before and how it's not benefit them entirely, and how from then, since they have recommitted charges, so those who have committed drug charges, how they can step out of it entirely and how they can break free or to stay clean and to live a very positive lifestyle. So you can see at the speech bubble at the top, we have testimonials from a participant from the girls' home. So one of the youths, they mentioned that how the peer leader sharing their journey has motivated them to change, and how the staff felt that the girls were very involved in the sessions that we conducted. Also on the left, you can see based on the post-evaluation stats that we received, that our programs has shown that the mentor training, 80% of them find it engaging and meaningful. 90% also reported they have improved emotional management skills, and 80% has also expressed their willingness to recommend the program to others. So overall, this program is still in a pilot phase, but it has been reaping great results. Yep. Okay, so to end my sharing, I have a corporate video, which if you all have time to scan it, you can scan. It's an 8-minute video, you won't be able to watch it now. But for those who want to take out the camera, they can scan it and they can watch it later on. So this is a write-up video that we created to help understand, teach you how the process works in terms of individual that has been into the system and has come out free and has been living a positive lifestyle. So I just give you a minute, 30 seconds to take a picture before I move on. Okay. Okay. So thank you so much. So I think I'll stop sharing here. So do let me know if you have any questions. I'll be taking any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing all of the programs that Sana has been implementing and all of the great programs for the youth to empower them. So that we do have a question. So I think we can just do one question now for you, like directly, and then at the end we do some more questions whenever they're there. We have some more global questions as well. So Joe was asking, hard after you present in schools, do you do any follow-up or gain feedback from students? And how many times do you present to each student cohort per year?
So per year, every school in Singapore, so they have a meeting where every 4 to 5 years they have to have one school talk. So we conduct a school talk in the school, and we have our post-evaluation feedback as well. So after every school talk is conducted, we have an evaluation report where we send to the teachers. Teachers will send to the students for them to give their testimonial, and their report. Yeah, so we hit around 30,000 students per year. That is our goal, which is around 30 over schools. Hope that answers the question.
Yes, wonderful. Thank you. Great job, really. The things that you're doing, and really inspiring, hopefully, for all as well.
Thank you.
So yeah, we will have more questions in the end. For now, we'll move on to the next speaker.
Okay, thank you.
Which is, no problem, Valentina Suarez. I hope I pronounce it correctly. Yeah, Valentina is the secretary of Dr. George Javer, and the CEO of the Clinical George Javer in Brazil. She is the international relations and mental health professional. She coordinator of the training courses for chemical dependency therapists, the coordinator of the master's program to support the patient's social reintegration opportunities once they leave the clinic. Thank you, Valentina, for joining us. I will share the screen for you, and then the floor is yours.
Thank you for having me.
Seconds. There you go.
Okay, can I start? Can I sit down?
Okay. Yes, you can start.
Okay, thank you so much. So good afternoon or good morning or good evening, everybody. I'm Valentina Soares. Press that pronounced it correctly. Thank you so much again. So the job I'll present today, it's about suicide prevention in the largest drug sales hub in South America. So we can move on, President, please. The introduction is the 2019 World Health Organization report on suicide warned of a serious public health problem, which is suicide. It causes approximately 703,000 deaths every year. And self-extermination is among the leading causes of death worldwide, which is something very serious and also sad, extremely sad. So more than 1 in every 100 deaths in 2019 were because of suicide. And this is also the 4th leading cause of death in the age group of adolescents, teenagers between 15 to 19 years old. So this is something that is very, very serious. It's a worldwide problem. We can continue, Cresta, please. Going to the risk factors, we identify that risky factors are multifaceted, such as we could see here the harmful use of alcohol, which includes which includes abuse during childhood, and stigma against seeking help, which is we can identify that people with mental disorders are highly stigmatized by populations around the world, and in some societies, especially in developing countries, with poor access to education, as they are seen as a kind of burden. We can see this reality in South America and also a lot in the Brazilian reality, unfortunately. And continue barriers to accessing care and means of suicide prevention. We can say that the poor governmental investments in mental health programs, we can say that this is a huge problem here, because Brazil is a developing country, it's a very big country, and unfortunately the education cannot be accessed by everybody, the good education, and obviously access to health, also to mental health, to good programs. So this is, we can say that this is a barrier to accessing care, at least here in our reality. And loss of employment, financial stress, and social isolation, especially after the COVID pandemic. We can understand by this scenario is the COVID scenario, which helped to increase the suicide rates in the world and also in the drug abuse. Sorry. Okay, can continue, please. To the next slide, please, Kristen. So the COVID-19 pandemic has had devastating effects on the mental health of people from different backgrounds. And these effects have been particularly acute among the lower income households and in slums or in communities. We can say slums or communities. So there has been a step rise in mental health illness and behaviors associated with it since 2020, especially in the slums or communities characterized by poverty, poor housing, high density, and unhealthy environments. So based on this social and mental health problem, me and the team, I work with Dr. Jorge Jaber and also Dr. Paula and other members of our team. We decided to search for a big community or a big slum in Rio de Janeiro to spread information, scientific information, and also to make suicide prevention. It happened last September. It was about 1 year ago. And we decided to go to Rocinha. It's a big slum here in Rio de Janeiro, or a big community. We can see here in the slide is one of the largest slums in South America. The suicide prevention with young adolescents there was extremely important, given the increase in suicide rates and mental health problems in these age groups, which I told before, the adolescents group. So this approach was thoughtful, culturally sensitive, and involved a range of strategies to address the complex issues affecting adolescents in the community. We could see that lots of adolescents were committing suicide in the community. We had this information, so it was a challenge, but we decided to bring the project there to Rocinha. And the objectives was to create a preventive event by surveying the participants' opinions, integrating them and welcoming and deconstructing stigmas about suicide they could have. We can move to the next slide, please. So this study investigated in a population of 140 young adolescents with cultural difference in a theater class, which was a theater program in the community of Rocinha or Islam. Their level of knowledge regarding relevant information about suicide. So they had some information about suicide previously, but we identified that it wasn't scientific information, and that could help them. So a structured questionnaire was presented to them and answered. This questionnaire was answered before and after a lecture given by our psychologist, Dr. Paula Zanelato, resulting in a big class at the end, which Dr. Paula invited the young participants themselves to teach what they learned. And it was a very important moment, and they shared their emotions, their opinions, and they gave testimonials about their lives. So it was something very strong that day. We got very emotional, and the scenes, we had a team there to make a small movie, and the scenes were filmed, and the little film was produced at that day. And so this dynamic process that day also include the distribution of a t-shirt, Todos pela Vida, Suicídio Não, which transformed the participants in multiplier reference. So they also win these t-shirts. We gave Todos pela Vida, which means we all for life. Suicide No, Suicídio Não. So they had these t-shirts, and they were filmed talking, their testimonials were filmed, and we decided to, and the next step, to show to the participants themselves their movie. We brought them to the movies so they could see themselves talking about what they thought at that day. And it was something that was also very strong. We could move to the next slide, please. And the results of the lecture showed a significant improvement in mental health awareness and willingness to seek help among the young people, totaling a 20% increase in knowledge based on the Giving survey, the survey that we gave to them in the beginning. And in the end, we could see that lots of them understood the importance of asking help and to not have any kind of stigma about suicide. So we can see here in the first picture, the adolescents in the theater having performance in the dynamics. That was we made the first day on their theater inside the community. And the scenes in that day were filmed, and the film based on this project was produced. And on the next picture, we can see the film screening day, which was in another movies, which was another part of the city, where we took all these adolescents to watch their performance, what they did. And they all went with the t-shirts, and the results were very, very good at that day. Both days, to be honest. We can continue, please. This was the debate on suicide awareness after the film screening, where they could see themselves talking about what they did and their testimonials. And the students attended the event in a significant numbers, taking into account that the Rocinha had a curfew due to an armed conflict. So despite having an armed conflict, they went there. It was possible, thanks God, for them to go there and watch themselves, the performance, nothing happened. but there was a curfew in the community on that day. We didn't know. We just knew when they were already on the place. They didn't tell us because they really want to come, because for them was something that it was totally new. They didn't know that prevention could be done in this way. And the results of the lecture showed a significant improvement in mental health awareness and willingness to seek help among young people, totaling a 20% increase in knowledge. The young people reported a feeling of support and belonging to the community, highlighting the importance of the debates in a final lecture given by them. Can continue, please. So thanks so much. This was a small and simple presentation. I hope you guys had enjoyed. For me, it's a great opportunity to be here online talking about suicide prevention in a large community here in Rio de Janeiro for Islam. And I'm open to any questions you guys might have. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for this inspiring presentation and the great initiative that you have been doing together with the youth and empowering them. And as we often might forget, or maybe we know, but oftentimes suicide prevention and substance use prevention, they are very much interlinked because it's the same social skills that need to be strengthened. And oftentimes we can combine them and prevent both. So really inspiring, all of it. And I think the movie is very much, you know, we would like to see them all, I think, but probably it's in not in English, but still, we would be very curious. There are some questions for you. I'm gonna ask one or two, and then we keep the other questions for the end, not to take too much time to have the other speakers speak as well. But one of the questions is, wait, there's so many actually. How many days did the filming take, and how did you run out biases in responses?
Well, the film took just 1 day to be filmed. We had a team there already prepared to do this. And we had constantly conversations with the theater groups. And what we didn't know is that one of the members, before we decided to make this project with this theater group, one girl, she was only 17 years old, she committed suicide. So we didn't know about this, but we chose a theater group inside the community because we thought, oh, they do a great job, so let's go there and try to bring a message against suicide, to make prevention. And we keep in touch with them. And since we did this 1 year ago, we don't have any reports on suicide on this theater group anymore. So we are keeping in touch with them constantly. And we also offered help here in the clinic if they want to come, if they need any kind of help. So yes, we keep constantly communication with them, and I think this helped a lot.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That's really, really wonderful to hear that you have been keeping in touch as well, and that you've seen some positive results after that. So really great job. Thank you so much. And there are more questions, as I said, but we'll move on for the next presentations first. And then after that, we'll come and see how much time is left for the rest of the questions. Thank you. Our next speaker is Kenya. She just let me quickly get the presentation ready. Kenya is from our youth network, and she's the author and trainer in Kenya. She's the founder and director of Sound Mental Health, which is a youth resource center working with youth and digital health, particularly mental health. Kenya, please, the floor is yours. Are you able to open your camera? And then in the meantime, I can share the presentation.
Hello everyone. And I'm also an author of materials that bring awareness of mental issues. So as much as my business
Sorry, your voice is not very clear.
and also how do we get to incorporate mental wellness in the self. So if we go to the next slide, those are next slide, please. Next slide. All right, so those are the materials that I have written and published as of now. So the first one, create awareness on the basic mental health issues that young people can face and how we can handle them.
I think there's some connectivity issues.
That's second book, The House of Anger looks at emotional value of anger management. And on the third slide, where we're looking at youth engagement is an opportunity and a challenge. Just a time where we are
Kenya, I think she. We'll just wait a second for maybe she's reconnecting with better internet, and otherwise we need to move on, and then hopefully she returns with better internet. She's logging on again.
sorry, we were at that slide here. Thank you. Where we're looking at the
Yes.
digital tools that have empowered young people to become innovators. Then in the fourth slide, the next one, we'll see the big concept on young people and the digital world, where we think that the digital shift is very important. It's very, very healthy. But then we take there are also challenges, especially when we're looking at the existing inequalities. We're looking at the aspect of misinformation. At times there is issues with online safety. And then being online also at times, if it's not monitored, it could lead to mental health issues. And then we see in the fifth slide that there is the aspect of equipping young people with skills on how to harness their full potential in the digital world. And also the online aspect of the digital world is also a support system when we're looking at mental health resources. This is because we have information, you're actually able to go for a session in case you need help, particularly with the mental health sector. And I, as a mental health practitioner, we've also shifted sessions. At times we do sessions virtually with individuals, so they need not to visit your clinic in person. But then what are the issues that we are able to solve digitally? So we're seeing that, for instance, with peer-to-peer support, we're looking at the aspects of networking, we're looking at digital literacy and tech skills, and also health awareness and support, environmental activism, and at times individuals can also learn online. So we're looking at the aspects of education and learning. But then in the sixth slide, that's where we're looking at every country needs to empower their young people to access essential helpful digital information. And then the next slide, we're looking at the aspect of the digital world and how it offers a platform in SDG advocacy. All right. The next slide, kindly, where we're looking at how online or digital world offers or assists in SDG advocacy. And we think that applies to all countries, not only in Africa, but also in other countries. And with it comes with some image where we have the SDGs on the photo as well. And on the 8th slide, that's where we're seeing the aspect of the digital world And we're seeing that it assists human beings to realize their full potential, to build self-confidence, and also lead lives of dignity and fulfillment.
We lost you again, Kenya.
And we'll see that also the digital world, we are able and then present to the future generations. And then the next slide, now my work, myself as a young person in the digital world. That is where I featured my writings. So as an author, the digital world offers me a platform to engage with young people online. And my theme is the youth engagement in a digitalizing world. So I get to use social media quite well. That is where I organize virtual workshops, I facilitate discussions, and also I write and upload my content as resource. And the challenge from what digital literacy, but then it also offers a platform for personal growth and mental health awareness to all individuals involved. So on the next slide, we will see right now where we're looking at the aspect of the platform. I mean, it isn't something to care about, but we're looking at the world at 7 billion people. And we know that we all come from different local, national, and global platforms. And the 1 billion population also. And that is why now we need to also teach the young people and the work that they do. So this means that in every country I know we have the national youth strategies. So the digital world creates more global neighbors where young people are also able to meet and to know one another, to exchange information also and ideas. And we think that, especially in my country, Kenya, it's a country where the greatest population is actually the young people, aged 10 to 24. And that is why it's important to not assume that they do not exist, but then also to incorporate them in the digital world. So we'll move into the next slide. And we're looking at the aspect of digital education. If we can move to the next slide, kindly. So in the next slide, we're looking at the digital education in the youth sector, where we've seen that the very aim of the digital education is actually giving a platform for technology which fosters interactive learning, critical thinking, action, and reflection. Because every time that we're working on something at the very end of the day, we need to also reflect on everything that we have done. And then the digital education challenges perceptions of the world and encourages young people to act for a more just and equal society. So fast forward, we see that the development education that we do offers equality, it offers justice, solidarity, sustainability, and then fosters human rights and responsibilities. So on the next slide, you'll see that there is a photo which I have attached. So this is where we're seeing that we are able to link local issues and solution imagination, and then also use participative methodologies in coming up with these solutions. If you could move to the next slide, we also get to see next one. Okay. I'll get to see is what do we want? What we want is a just society and a society that is empowered, going global. But we are able also, I have also digital education, more specifically to young people, and also in combating mental health. So we'll see that digital platform and mental health offers self-esteem. It gives confidence to the young people. With mental health advocacy also in the digital world, we are able to offer new experiences. We're able to also offer social awareness and give us someone experiencing a mental health issue in Africa from different countries. Actually, you're able to feel that I'm not alone in this. There's so and so from all different parts of the world who has been there before, and they've actually been able to work around it. And then the next slide, we see that with the mental health that focus here using social media, the side is for inclusion. In the next slide, and then it fosters also involvement. Most becomes that because I believe that in this platform we are able to network, and this means that you're able to actually partner with different people. And within youth work and developmental skills, and then does it really reach to employability? And in what we do at these platforms are making open mind, and determination. And through the digital world, we also foster leadership and positive relationships. And my work with youth, the digital
Kenya?
photo.
Okay.
The one of the pictures portrays more of an empowerment and educative for and photo on personal development skills, but we also do teach and coach once in a while. And the reference of this conversation actually was on my book drive, which is also indicated in the photo. That is
Kenya, it seems like you have connectivity
in the next
issues.
slide. And now we look, she's written Kinga and Kenya. Yes, please.
It seems like you have
Can you hear
connectivity
me?
issues, making it difficult to follow all the time. So yeah, we cannot hear you completely all the time. I don't know if that will, maybe it's best if we send your slides to everyone afterwards.
Yeah,
I don't
sure,
know
I
if-
will.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It seems to be difficult with the connections. It's always cutting off like a minute or so every other seconds. But thank you for sharing, and I really apologize for the issues that you're facing with the Wi-Fi. Seems to be many problems at the moment, also among our attendees actually. So yeah, thank you so much for highlighting your work, and I mean it's very inspiring all the work you do for the youth engagement, and also make sure that the youth are engaged, and you as youth to go out there and doing the education for others. So thank you so much for all your work, and as said, we will share your slides to make sure that everyone can learn more about your work as well. And if there's any questions, Kenya has shared her email in the chat box, so you can address her personally or you can address her as well here. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Amina, if she is with us, because I do think that she also faces connectivity issues. She would be logging on from Nigeria, and she has been in and out as well. So until she's back, I just wanted to go back to the questions that were asked in the chat box for the two speakers that are actually currently that have been speaking already. One of the questions was from Abebwa. He mentions that I think awareness, the knowledge level, attitude, and perceptions of the community is different from nations to nations due to various reasons, for example, cultural and religious issues. So how can you bring a global solution for addiction prevention? Would you, Hari or Valentina, like to answer one of those questions?
Okay,
Yeah.
I can answer the question.
Please.
Yep. Okay, so I think yes, we are aware that based on like cultural, religious differences across the nations, there will be unique solutions to suit every jurisdiction that's acceptable by then the local community within the ambit of them laws. So of course, but then again, there are broad principles that help to manage drug abuse. Then again, remains the same. such as drug education, prevention, rehabilitation, aftercare, post-release support. So these are very consistent in many countries, and that will then help to foster or to ensure that such things are kept at bay, as in recidivism rates and also prevention of drug abuse rates as well, addiction in general. So, however, I mean, then again, this focus is youth, right? So then again, there's a growth in youth addiction in the world of today, right? And also being the mental health sphere as well, with new disorders being out. And there's a lot of susceptibility to youth falling into drugs. And that's why there's a lot of emphasis into early focus of youth addiction in schools. That's why it's very important. So the community, including schools, must then come together to help to combat this growing issue. So one important area is also to focus to support of children of drug abusers as well, because then again, usually if the parents are incarcerated, then the influence will then spread to the kids. So it's more like intergenerational offending as well that needs to be prevented. So that helps to prevent and the children and youth to help ensure there's lower risk in them falling prey to the scourge of drugs. So yeah, so I think focusing more on the schools population in terms of them coming together, having support from adults, obviously, and their families, teachers. So we all come together and we help come up with programs or such prevention programs to help youth, to stay away from addiction. I think that will be beneficial, because during that portion of time when during the stage of them, the decision making skills at the age of 12, and they start to make meaning making of things. So that's when they start to understand, okay, they start to internalize that drugs is something that's not going to benefit me, the short term, the long term. So at the early stages, at the root, I think that it will be beneficial for them to ensure that we can eradicate or potentially alleviate addiction to a large extent. That's my tip.
Thank you so much for the elaborate answer. I think that's a very helpful answer for all of us. Let me see because seems like I already got an email from Amina apologizing for her bad connections, and also Valentina seems to be out at the moment, because there was a question for Valentina as well. But I would like to use this opportunity to give the word to our board member Jo, because she has an amazing program she would like to present to you as well. So let me share the screen for you, Jo, and then the word is for you. And hopefully in the meantime, our speakers will return to answer the next questions.
Unmute. Thank you, Cressida. What an amazing group of speakers we've had, and the questions that have come. This is certainly a global problem. And as a board member of World Federation, I feel very privileged to be mixing with people of the level that we're hearing from today. I'm liking to share with you, you may have heard of this, but through Rotary International, which is a global organization of people who help communities at community level, we have a youth prevention influencer program that is just beginning. And what we want to do is help governments to realize, and I think Singapore's already doing it, but many governments haven't realized that they can embrace the youth culture in our countries and bring it to a positive level where they can actually help us find solutions, just as we heard with that beautiful presentation about suicide prevention and using filming and young people with their ideas and their enthusiasm to help others. So I guess this is an appeal to you. If you have anyone in your country or your community that you think would be really great to go to the United Nations, they probably need to be between 15 and 25 years old, probably a little bit older than 15, but at least up to 25 to 28 years old, still with a young mind, but some really good ideas. We would love to help them train as youth prevention influencers, and that would be done at their local level. I think Carlton Hall Consulting is also helping with that. Perhaps if we go through the slides, you'll see pictorially what I'm trying to share with you. So we have a very high level of support from the United Nations High Commission, the United Nations Office of Drugs and Crime, And also the World Federation Against Drugs is very keen to support this program. The people in this slide show the recent international president of Rotary, who's also supporting it because he sees the links with drug use and mental health, or mental ill health, let's say. So I think that's a pretty good recommendation, as we would say in Australia, that we have a high level of support for our young people if they are put forward and do the training. Have a look at the next slide. You can see even the University of Cambridge is helping us to evaluate what is happening here. And these are the organisations that are supporting our Youth Prevention Influencer program. And the next one. Next slide, thank you. There are reasons why people take drugs, and they're usually because of fairly desperate means. For example, peer pressure. When our kids get into their adolescence, we know that they start to listen to the people of their age rather than the parents as much, and certainly older people giving them advice. And that's why we can turn it around and put peer pressure into a more positive way of influencing young people in ways to say no. This first boy, Brandon, was a footballer in Australia, and I met with him. That's not his actual name. I met with him when I worked at Odyssey House in Victoria, which is a state of Australia. And it's a very big rehabilitation centre. But he started out at 15 and he was a really great footballer. He went into our National Football League, but then he got into a crowd that was drinking alcohol and probably using some other drugs along the way. And it destroyed his entire career. He was able to be helped, but the rehabilitation took a long time, and he certainly didn't play the level of football he wanted to play. The second reason that people might take drugs is when there's communication barriers with parents. If the parents are too busy or too career-minded, and they just don't really listen to their kids when they're 15 or 16 years old, or even earlier. So this young girl got into trouble. She started to listen to her friends more than her parents. She became pregnant at the age of about 16. And luckily, again, Odyssey House was able to help her, and they have facilities there where families can come and live, but she couldn't actually have full control of her baby until she was much older. But finally the parents came and helped as well, but it was too late in many ways for her. The saddest one for me is when there's child neglect because a parent takes drugs. The intergenerational use of drugs is one of the main reasons that's creating the big problem in Australia anyway. So we certainly need some good advice from our young people on how we can stop this before it really starts. So the next slide. Thank you. They're just some statistics that are showing how much money just in Australia alone the government is having to pay out because of drug abuse and having people rehabilitated rather than getting the prevention message early enough. Child abuse and family violence is another thing. Sorry, next one is fine. We have some resources to share, and I'm happy to provide copies of these books or how to get them for anybody who might be listening today. They're stories, personal stories, but they show young people that it's so easy to fall into the trap, and it's much, much harder to get out of that trap. So these are people that come and present to our school groups as well, and their stories don't glamorize it at all. Their stories just tell the hard truth. The person on the right of the slide is in her early 50s now, I think. So it's a while ago that she took drugs, but she's even now experiencing physical and some mental health issues as a result of her drug taking. She's still alive, but the quality of life really went down. She's written her book too. Karen Redpath is her name. So that's some resources that we can use. What else can be done? Youth prevention influences. The big yellow arrow is pointing to what we should be doing. have a look at the next one, please. So youth relate to youth. So we can turn peer pressure into positive peer pressure because they can relate their personal experiences and challenges. They can relate their problems to each other and turn it around and say, what can we do about it? Let's join a sports club. Let's go down to the beach for a swim today. Let's not fall into this other trap. Social validation as well. When a young person endorses a trend or an idea, it often does really catch on. And I loved the presentation on social media that we had today, because we can use it positively and we can certainly be encouraging people in the right way through that social media. So authenticity, it's far more genuine and transparent than someone in a business with a business hat on going in and saying, you will do this or you will do that. The authenticity of young people genuinely saying they don't want drugs. They just do not want those poisons in their system. And shared platforms, as we said, the digital and social media can be used for positive peer pressure. So the next one, please. So I don't know that this particular web page would work today on this slide, but if we can share these slides and you want to go into that, it actually shows youth at work in the United Nations. And one thing that really hit me when I heard these people speak, one young man got up and said exactly what Amy and Cressida said earlier today, that and I think also Harry said it as well, that basically, yes, youth are our future, but they're very much our present. And so we need to be utilising that wonderful resource we could have. So thank you for giving me some time. And I really hope I can reach out to all of you. And if you want to be in touch, once you may see the slides again, we'd be very happy through Rotary to try and train up some of your young people that can do some really good things in this world. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was really, it's a great initiative, and I'm glad to see that it's picked up internationally and that so many countries are joining, and I think it's going to be big as well. And it's definitely important to get the youth engaged, and that you're offering such a platform for that. And definitely we'll be sharing slides. Thank you for putting it to, giving it to our attention. We did have Valentina back for a little bit to answer the last two questions that are pending for her, but it seems that there are some lightning and storms going on there as well. So it's not the day for a perfect internet connection today, I would say. But I'm very happy that all of you that are here, that were able to join us today. And I think if there are no other questions or remarks, then I would finalize the webinar a little bit earlier. But otherwise, maybe Hari, I don't know if this question is applicable to you, but I can ask it anyway. But do you design psychoeducation information, and how, if you do? Oh, sorry, I accidentally unmuted you when wanting to put you in a spotlight.
It's okay. Thank you so much. Can you hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay.
No.
Yeah. So the question was, how do I design psychoeducation information, right? Okay. So first is that what we do is that we do research on peer-reviewed articles. So we get better understanding of how programs are done. Of course, globally and locally as well. So first we do globally, we get a bit of an idea of how certain programs can better cater to the youth or better cater to youth at risk. So once we get that, we zoom in into certain concepts. And then locally, we also do like our own pilot study. So we do pre and post evaluation as well. So we try to do pre, where we do let's say we would focus on personal development in youth at risk for the current home that we did. So we try to track their, let's say, their understanding of boundaries, for example. So after the program, we do a post test to track how is their improvement like? Do they understand something? Do they get something out of it? What is their internalization of stuff? So first we go into peer review articles, research done, programs that are conducted that have significant results. So we get some like a notion of what we need to do. Then from there we expound it into our own cultural concept, because our own culture is going to be different, right? The things that we run it, and in terms of how to suit Singaporeans in general. So we then cater to that to that target population. So we then null it down a bit, or we reframe it a bit, and the pedagogy itself we change it. That's how we come up with the whole framework per se. Yeah, and then we are now working towards ensure that it's more evidence-based by doing a pre and post study as well. Yeah.
Thank you so much
Hope that
for
answers the question.
highlighting that. Yes, I think it does. Very much well done. Thank you so much for highlighting that and answering the question so clearly.
No problem. Thank you so much.
No, and then we're a little bit on time, I would say, but still, I would, since there are no more questions and since our speakers unfortunately had connectivity issues, I would like to thank all of you for joining. Thank you especially, Hari, for joining us today and presenting such a great best practices that Sana is doing, and also answering all the questions in so much detail. And of course, Valentina also, who is not here maybe, but I think her colleague is here. So please, on our behalf, I send her our best regards and thank her so much for the great presentation and inspiring work that you're doing. Thank you for that. And thank you, Amy, for your introductory notes, of course. Always a pleasure to have you here. And Joe, thank you for adding on to our presentations with the best practice that you have been initiating together with Rotary. And thanks to all our attendees that are here and that stuck with us, even though there was a bit of a hiccup maybe from some of the presentations. I also would like to thank Kenya for trying and being here with us, and Amina as well, but unfortunately weren't able to stay on too long. But we will be sharing the recordings afterwards, and we also will be sharing the presentations that were shared by the speakers. And yeah, on behalf of WFAD, thank you so much. And just before I forget, we are working on a global challenges, local solutions series. So as you know, we are gonna organize 4 or 3 additional webinars the upcoming months. The next one is going to be in October. And for that, we also will be sharing a call this week for abstracts. We will do the same strategy as we did for this one. We'll welcome you to send an abstract on your best practices in treatment, gender-sensitive treatment, outpatient treatment, child treatment, and then we'll be selecting the speakers accordingly. So keep an eye out for your email for that call, and hoping to receive many of your abstracts as well. I don't know if you want to say anything, Amy, as the last words.
No, I just wanted to thank you, Cressida, for logging in and managing all this while you're also attending the Youth Forum in Asia. Wish you best of luck the rest of the week, and please tell our team in India hello and send our best regards to all of the youth who are there taking the training. And thank you to everybody who logged in, and we look forward to seeing you at the next webinar in the series. Thank you guys.
So much.
All right, bye-bye.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.